Amidst mysteries and predictions spanning centuries, an intriguing question remains. Would Pope Francis be the last pope according to the prophecy of Saint Malachy? The prophecies indicate that on February 28, 2025, something will happen that will change the history of the world and usher in a new era. In a world full of change and uncertainty, are we living the end of an era or just the beginning of a new chapter? Let's explore together the secrets of this prophecy and what it can tell us about the future of the Church and the papacy itself. The mystery of Saint Malachy and the shadow of the last pope persists as time advances. Some prophecies seem to anticipate history, waiting for the right moment to fulfill themselves. Among the most mysterious, one looms like an inevitable shadow over the Vatican, the prophecy of the popes by Saint Malachy. This ancient manuscript describes a precise succession of 112 popes with a disturbing warning: the last one is already among us. The story begins in the 12th century with Saint Malachy, an Irish monk known for his visions. During a visit to Rome, he is said to have entered a state of ecstasy, unfolding before his eyes the future like pages of an invisible book. In his vision, he predicted the line of popes who would rule the Church, recording 112 mottos, each corresponding to a pontiff. The list began with Celestine II in 1130 and ended with Petrus Romanus, a portent of the last pope. For centuries, this prophecy remained forgotten, lost in the Vatican's secret archives, until it was published in 1595 by Father Arnold Wyon. Since then, theologians and historians have analyzed each new pope through the lens of the prophecy, and a disturbing coincidence began to emerge. Malachy's descriptions seem to align remarkably well with the popes throughout history. John Paul I, Benedict XVI, Francis, each one seemed to follow the path outlined by the prophecy. Now, with Francis on the throne of Peter, the inevitable question arises: has the last pope already arrived? If so, what does this mean? Could it be the collapse of the Church, the end of times, or the beginning of a new dominion over humanity? Saint Malachy predicted that after the last pope, the destruction of Rome and the Church would be imminent. And if this moment is closer than we imagine, could the eighth king and the rise of a new order be lurking? The prophecy suggests that after Francis, the last pope will face great tribulations, witnessing not just the ruin of the Church, but the collapse of civilization as we know it. But if the prophecy truly points to the end of an era, how might this fall begin? It may be hidden in another mystery, the figure of the eighth king mentioned in Revelation 17. An intriguing passage speaks of 7 kings who would rule the world, but an eighth would emerge, connected to the 7 before him, yet different from them all. Many scholars believe that this eighth king is not a common political leader, but a hidden power, an invisible government manipulating global events from the shadows. What do we know about this eighth king? Some theories suggest that he is already among us, controlling political, economic, and spiritual systems to consolidate a single global command, and the Church would be part of this plan. If the last pope, Petrus Romanus, is not a defender of the faith but an instrument of this new order, and if the collapse of the Vatican is not an isolated event, but part of a larger plan to dissolve all institutions resisting a single world power, the current scenario already shows signs of a point of no return. The advancement of technology and artificial intelligence, an increasingly centralized and controlled financial system, growing conflicts that may prepare the ground for a new global order. The question that echoes in silence is, has the eighth king already taken control and we have not realized it? And if this is the last cycle before the definitive transformation of the world, the final revelation, the last pope, and the arrival of the new order? If the words of Saint Malachy are true, the era of the last pope has already begun. But what does this really mean? Could it be the end of the Church as we know it, or the beginning of something much darker? Since the dawn of time, religion has upheld empires, consolidated reigns, and guided civilizations. And if this pillar is crumbling, not by chance, but by a meticulously planned scheme, Saint Malachy's prophecy does not just announce the arrival of the last pope, but also insinuates a time of tribulation, a period of chaos where faith will be tested like never before. Francis, according to this interpretation, would be the penultimate pontiff, and after him would arise a leader who would not just govern the church, but become part of a much larger and darker system. The Catholic Church has survived centuries of persecutions, crises, and transformations. But if now, in the 21st century, we are witnessing its final chapter, the Vatican has long ceased to be just a religious institution. It has become a center of global power, involved in geopolitics, finance, and, according to some, secrets never revealed to the public. Behind the scenes, theorists claim that a new structure is being engineered, and it will no longer include faith as we know it. Could this be the true goal of the eighth king? The Apocalypse mentions 7 kings, and an 8th who would arise from them, but would be of a different nature. Some believe this refers to a political figure, a ruler who would take total control of the earth. Others see something even more sinister, a global system that would erase distinctions between countries, religions, and cultures, replacing them with a single government, a single dogma, a single absolute power. The last pope, then, might not be just a religious leader, but the final piece to consolidate this transition, not emerging to defend the faith, but to dissolve it within this new system. The Vatican, once the heart of Christendom, would become merely a symbol of a bygone era. But that is not all. The signs are already among us. If the collapse of the church has already begun, the signs must be everywhere, and indeed they are. Morality is being questioned. Traditional values are weakening, and new ideologies promote a radical change in the organization of society. What was once sacred is now discarded, rewritten, adapted to a new global thought. In the Vatican, controversial decisions and unexpected alliances raise suspicions. Pope Francis himself has been called by some the reformer, while others warn that he may be the harbinger of something much larger. His statements often cause controversy, promoting a religious unification that, for many, resembles an abandonment of traditional doctrines. But what if this change is not accidental? What if the true goal is to prepare the world for a new era, an era where the church will no longer be necessary? And what will happen to those who still believe? How can we protect ourselves if Saint Malachy's prophecy is correct and the 8th king is already operating behind the scenes? The first answer is clear. Knowledge is power. History teaches us that societies fall when their people become blind to what is happening around them. Information is suppressed, facts are distorted, and before they realize it, those who disagree are silenced. The second answer is even more disturbing. We are already living this transition. Everything we have been taught is being rewritten, erased, or replaced. The world in which we grew up may not be the same one we leave to future generations. If the last pope is already among us and the 8th king is already in motion, we stand at a choice, to accept the new order or to resist it. But the question remains, is there still time? If this story has awakened something in you, share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue exploring the mysteries that may be shaping our destiny. Together we can discover the truth before it is too late.